Ladies and gentlemen, Hard Nosed Derby Podcast. Where are we at?
Remote, kind of.
We're still in Monroe County.
Yes, we are. Monroe County, little south of Paris.
Yeah.
We're in the Hammond facility. I just see cars.
A couple cars in here. A couple trophies.
Few.
They look like they're all coming from our shows. More of that biased promoter shit. Looks like they had to move a shelf on a couple of them.
Is that hometown boy type of shit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are looking at a couple cars that, guess where they're going?
Whiskey City.
Yes, sir. Super stock class.
Clean.
Look good. They do look good. One is way, way close to being buttoned up. The other one is a long ways from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little farther away.
It looks like they're both down the short rows.
Yeah.
Which probably should. Because when this drops.
It's 3 weeks from today, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close. What do you got left?
I'm getting there. I'm fucking getting there.
He has found out we always bust his nuts about running Mopar stuff. Steven came to the dark side with some Chevrolet motors and transmissions.
Last night was a motherfucker.
And then he figures out how hard it is to get those figured out to the rule set that he is building to
It wouldn't be shit around here. I mean, I would have already had it in. Like, done.
Yeah.
But the mounting situation for Whiskey City is, I mean...
A little bit different?
Yeah. Usually factory motor mounts mean you can run any factory motor mounts you can buy at a parts store.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's just how that shit works. This is factory legal for that class.
Yeah.
So...
Let's blame Cordell. It's probably his idea. Dick.
And I think I might be the only motherfucker that it affected. Like, I feel singled out.
So are you thinking out of the 24 cars that are going to be on the track, you will be in the only Mopar?
Yeah. I would say in that class, well, maybe not, but I bet there's, from watching last year, there was not very many Mopars in that class.
There was more in the youth class
Yeah.
than the stock class, but it looks like it is.
I would say there will be a lot of old iron GM and new style Fords there, is what we'll see.
Pretty common.
Which is pretty common to what anytime I ever show up with a Mopar. Especially the Mopars I run. Because everybody else runs shockers and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I pick up the leftovers that they go in and buy all the shockers and shit, and then I'll buy whatever's left over sitting there.
Cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Cheap. We did say where we were at today. We got a couple guests with us. We've got Mr. Trae Hammond and Mr. Stephen Hayhurst.
Surely the listeners didn't think we was just sitting in their fucking shop.
No telling. We
couldn't find a place to record. The fucking door was unlocked. We're here now.
You're not drunk today.
Not yet.
Yet. Enough. That was covered last week.
Yes. Wow. Bingo. The fucking bar that's fairly local to us that started doing bingo on Friday. It's Shelbyville bar. We started going up there and playing bingo on Friday nights. Fuck me. First time I went, I think I won $140, but our tab was $160. And then last week, I think I spent $140. I was drunk at the end of it, and they did a blackout round. It was like $5 a card, and I bought 9 cards. I was a motherfucker trying to keep up with, especially drunk, like one-eyeing it.
See, y'all get to see what I get to work with on a weekly basis.
I was daubing the fuck out of things.
Well, Stephen and Trae, how's it going, fellas?
Well, it's pretty good. Like you said, getting down the short rows. Try to finish these cars up this week, hopefully by next weekend.
Well, you all went to Border Wars last year, correct?
I did, yep. Me and Cody Irwin did.
That was your first, like, big stage show. Did that have any bearing on building for this? Or?
Yeah. I mean, we did a few things different, learned from that show where stuff would bend in the street stock class, and then running all your old shows last year and figuring out what these cars will do once you throw this much metal at them. And I mean, it helped too to go in that atmosphere where you're not running against people you know, and
Right.
a whole bunch of different states, different cars, different builds.
So-
Yeah, this is a pretty big jump for me myself. I didn't run Border Wars with Trae and Cody when they went, but I was there helping them, and I've always only run the fair shows, the local shows, and this was actually my idea, and I drug Trae along. I didn't want to go by myself.
Well, here's the thing, Steven, I think he finished his year off with a win. Did you win at our August show in Paris?
Was that the year before? That was the
Before
year
your
before.
stock car.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the year before in the stock class. Yeah.
Yeah, because leading up to that, you were just kind of a kamikaze driver.
Yeah,
Fucking,
I drove up a lot of ass ends back in the day.
because you'd be standing on the dirt and be like, where the fuck is he going? And going
Right
down the
there.
other end.
Right there, that's where he went.
Yep.
Me and Bubba used to give him shit before we go out there. We'd slap him on the head. Do not drive up somebody's ass. If you see it, maybe, but do not, because that'd be the first thing.
If it's fresh and it's staring me in the face, it's probably gonna get hit.
He has turned maybe a porn fantasy into his driving.
Gotta get it somewhere.
Because that's kind of PJ Snarr shit there.
It is. Yeah, it's cool to park on some dude's fucking roof.
The shit looks cool.
It does. It looks cool.
It
as
always
shit.
looks cool, but it is so devastating on these new styles. Because usually whenever you back up, you don't get to steer anymore.
Nope.
Well, who was that? Was it Tony Burkhart that at Blizzard Bash drove up that dude's ass?
Yeah.
Full tracked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Step back away with steering. That'd be ideal.
Yeah, and it wasn't it Tony at Blizzard Bash where he jumped 2 cars in one hit?
Yeah.
Because there was somebody on the
Yeah,
wall and he hit
yeah.
the car in front of him and it just annihilated all 3 cars. It was cool as shit to watch.
Yeah. That was down there at the end of the, like that, I call it
Right in front of
Topeka,
the
the
bar.
horse, yeah.
Yep. Bar in now.
Yeah.
Trae, with your with the really good run that you had at Border Wars, does that get you a little bit more hyped up to go to a show such as this? I don't think you've ever run any of Sam's shows that he's ever got to put on before. Then last year, I think you spent most of your time just running smaller stuff, is what I would call it. I know you
Local
started,
shit.
Yeah, started the year out with Mother's Day Madness, which most of the guys that we have talked to, that's where they started out last year too. And we keep saying, air quotations, big show. That was pretty fucking big.
Yeah, I mean, it was on Track Shot Live, decent payouts, lots of fucking cars.
Lots of beer.
I mean, and there was a lot of quality drivers there too. I mean, there was a lot of Blizzard Bash drivers at that show.
So, did that play a part in how quick you were to answer Steven to say, hey, let's go?
I wouldn't say it was quick. He poked me for about 3 weeks because we were finishing our cars up, and he brought it up that he wanted to run a big show. Which all last year I told everybody this summer I was going to take summer off. That me and Megan had been together 8 years. We had a little girl 2 years ago, so that's played a part in some that I'm up here a couple nights a week, weekends, and then actually when fairs start rolling around, she knows a few Saturdays of the month I'm up here, we're at a show, or we got to find a babysitter because she liked the shows, but when the time came to run the show, she didn't like the cars being that loud and that close. She likes coming up here and playing and sitting, but so that played a little effect to what Steven kept asking me, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep my promise. She's dealt with it for, let's just say, 8 years.
Shit, you promised this?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
And I was like, we'll go. She wanted spontaneous family trips, just go where we wanted. We didn't have to go around a derby schedule. Well, he kept asking me, and I was like, fine, I'll go and ask her. And this was like at midnight.
Catch her when she's sleeping?
Yeah, I walked in there and we were talking, and I asked her, and she just kind of rolled over at me. When is it? I was like, March. Okay, I don't care. I was like, you sure? Yeah, whatever. Just go do that. Have fun. I'm like, all right. A couple minutes later, she's just like, what are you doing? So I just paid for my spot. Why, before you change your mind?
Yeah, he texted me at like midnight. I'm in. All right, let's go.
Yeah, she just looked at me. She's like, you really did? I said, yeah, so we're committed now.
You told me to, woman.
No, but yeah, she likes it, and I like going to different shows. I mean, Border Wars was a blast. It wasn't a blast. I always remember the highlight of the show. We were walking into the barn to get in our cars, and I was walking with Trae Hayhurst, and he's like, "Count how many red cards are there." I said, "All right." He's like, "What'd you get?" I was like, 16. He's like, "Woof." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "That's how many are going out there with us." I'm like, "Oh shit." I was like, "How many we got?" He said, 5. So that was pretty nerve-wracking when we were getting in the car, but it turned out all right. We all stayed down in our corner and beat it down where we could, and then when it came down to it, we had to go down there, and there was just too many Nebraska people.
Yeah, you drove the wheels off that car. You got 5th, or was it 5th or 6th?
5th.
And that, to me, that's pretty damn good going up there your first time.
Yeah.
Square body Lincoln.
What you're running against. I mean, because it's not like any of those Nebraska guys are.
And especially what you took out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got a lot of shit for taking square body Lincoln, but that's just what I've always liked them. We knew how to build them. Trae and Rob gave me some pointers how to tweak them a little bit, make them better. But which also I don't hit the hardest. I think too much into it, and everybody gives me shit. But when I'm out there, it's slow mo for me. That this shot that's going to hurt me more than what's going to hurt him. So I'll veer off and take the hit instead of taking it. Which I get shit for that, but for the first 4 years me and Cody ran, we junk a car every Madison.
Mm-hmm.
One summer, I think me and Cody Irwin built 10 cars, and it was just me and him before Steven and Cameron came on. So after that, I was like, you know what? I kind of like to win or get something. I said, yeah, it's cool to go out there and junk somebody's shit and junk yours, but when you got to go back and fix that thing or build a whole new one, I was like, all right, we need to change
Stub it after
something.
every show. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah. And before you were allowed so many plates. Like back then, you were allowed 2 plates. And you just dealt with it. You pull it down, go make a run. Pull it down, go make another run.
But that's what is so good about the Whiskey City thing is it's all one and done. There's no heats. You don't got to fix nothing.
we've talked about the good and the bad on that. Like, if you go out and you have a shitty run, you don't get a consolation to come back and play again.
Yeah.
So I think that has stepped everybody up, especially their checklist. Like, if you go, every shop I've been in, there's been a piece of cardboard or a piece of paper laid down on the ground or on a bench or whatever that's got a list of what needs to be checked, what needs to be looked at, and they're not just looking at that once and marking it off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like Trae's got it marked on his hood.
yeah. I mean, you've got to. Because with a one and done, like, if you go out there and something fucking stupid happens, that's just what happened. Put the motherfucker back on the track and go home.
You go step on your dick, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But we have talked so much on mechanical failure. You don't, that part always sucks, but you don't want it as a maintenance failure because you forgot to tighten something or Steven forgot to tighten something. Because I'm sure you guys work on each other's cars.
Yeah.
You know, your Trae's not solely working on his, Steven's not working on his. You both are trying to get them knocked out. So now you're trying to backtrack steps. Fuck, did he get that? He get that tight, just like what we were talking about the other day.
Yeah. And
There's
you're like,
work
well,
and
you
work.
work, so you're doing it twice, essentially. Because anything that you do on his car, he's going to check, and vice versa. I mean, that's just how that shit works. Just because you don't, I mean, you can't leave it all up to human error.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got a a heck of a shop hand. We call him a shop hand. Cameron Cloven, Soybeans his nickname. he'll give me shit for that. But he's kind of our third eye. He was checking my car over the other day, and my trailer arm bolts were looser than fuck.
Yeah.
Didn't catch it. I probably would have rolled on the track with it. But he shook them and they were loose. And you better tighten those before you go out there. He tightened them and just little shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
100%.
like he hates me when I talk about it, but I could probably tell you there's not very many people in our listening group that has changed out or pulled more 9-inch axles than me because of racing. He still checked me just to make sure, you know.
I mean, we had the axles out of that thing 3 different times. Just putting the rear end under it because it's fucking heavy.
I didn't want to bench press it with axles in it. Let's just put it that way.
And being leaf sprung, fucking little different game. They get to come in from the side and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is going to be an experience for you for sure, both of you, because Border Wars was big, but this is inside, and I don't know. There's something about being indoors that changes the fucking atmosphere.
I've always wanted to drive down a tunnel. Just going to the arena through the tunnel's got to be badass.
Yeah.
I picture it all the time.
Let's just hope.
I usually have to
Let's
shit.
just hope they have brakes.
Yeah, that happens.
Trey, how'd you get started, man?
I
Well,
can answer some of that.
yeah. Growing up, my dad would derby with Steven's dad, so I was always at the shop. I was the one that got to paint the cars. When Dad, Mo, and Larry get them done, I would get to paint them whatever I wanted, do whatever I want to them. So I was growing up watching Dad, and then he retired, and
Fucking bagger.
he is too. There's only 2 of them trophies up there, his and some of our riders. Well, like you said, the shelf does drop down because he did win a few Madisons, so they're a bit taller. He makes sure every time he comes in here, man, why is that one so taller than everybody else's? Oh, that's mine.
Well, the man did try to park in my lap at Shelbina. And he still fucks with me about that because I'm watching him come at me, and I thought, this is going to suck. Nope, the berm will catch him, and he just kept coming up it, and I watched Rick's old eyes get big, and I'm pretty sure he was watching me do the same shit. So
I'll give him that. When he turns it on, there's no thought process. There's no, that might hurt.
it's just go time.
No, but he retired for years, and all his shit set out back, and me and a buddy in high school, we talked about it, and we stripped a car. I think it was an 89 Cadillac, and I just pushed it in the back. Never did nothing in it, and then me and Erwin got together, we rode side by side, and we went hunting, and his race car, he gave up racing. He's like, you know what, let's derby. I'm like, I got a car, Dad's got motors, we got bump, sure. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and it just kind of grown ever since. We've blown it up from where we started from 8 years ago.
Last year cost you all a lot of money.
Yeah. This year's cost us a lot of money.
But, when you sit there, he said 8 years ago. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. That's what's, and I don't know if it's the good or the bad there, but, that just tells you how fucking old we're getting.
Oh, shit.
Well, y'all kids are not that old, but I'm fucking old. So let's ask Stephen the same thing.
Well, I kind of piggybacked off Trae. Trae and Cody Irwin, they kind of got me started. And, well, when they started, I was always in the shop helping. I did all Trae's welding for him, and then Cody kind of took over a few years after because I was building my own car. But, yeah, I piggybacked off of Trae. And, 8 years don't sound like a long time ago, but we sure have learned some shit since then. It's the builds we used to build compared to now, the amount of money, material, time it takes has come a long way. But
I remember whenever Trae and them first started, they didn't know how to weld.
I still don't know how to weld.
we teach him, but he just
because Daniel Walker was coming out there and welding your all shit up.
Whichever gives me the most shit, and I'll come clean about it. I am not the best welder. I got 4 guys that are, I'll let them weld anything and not thinking I have it. I'll cut, I'll grind, I'll fab, whatever they need to, and have it sitting there labeled, no numbered, anything. But when I go to weld and it takes me twice the time it would take them and it looks twice better, I'm like, you all just, do this, I'll go do something else.
That's the difference because there's people that can weld and then there's welders.
Well, and I catch shit for it too, but out there, Mike he likes to fucking weld. Why would I get in there if he enjoys doing it? Like, why am I holding the welder?
Yep.
I'll go cut all the shit.
Yep.
Get it all ready.
Yeah.
sometimes when you're welding doors, you got those long welds, you just be in your own thoughts and have your me time, let some frustration out, except when you're welding doors. I hate welding doors. Everybody else probably feels the same.
I've never heard anybody ever say, man, I love fucking welding doors.
Man, I can't wait to go weld these fucking doors up.
Have you welded your doors yet?
Fuck no.
I'm going to guess that will probably be the absolute last thing
You're
you've done
fucking
before
right.
doing
My shit the front doors will still open, the back ones won't.
But man, I remember when Steven started running around here, it was usually like a square body Ford.
Yeah.
And you just knew that bitch is going to be sky high.
Yeah.
Right at his feet, and it's going to be quick. But that was the thing. Trae sat there and he said, figured out, this is fun, but it sucks. Really, I mean, at the same time, you're building the cars. What the fuck is that?
Screwdriver.
Just because it's AM, mean you got to start with a screwdriver.
Yep.
It's a Smirnoff brand too, so that takes you down a few
I can't
points.
even ice them.
Not bad.
Is it good?
Yeah. Tastes like a screwdriver.
So Trae, it was pretty quick for Trae to figure out that this is really fun until you got to go build them or fix them or build them and fix them. That shit got old, and I think it took Steven a little bit longer.
It did. but I will say, a lot of the best memories are some of them early years. Every car, every show was nose high, and my very first car was an 80s Cadillac. And I remember I had pulled it down 2 or 3 times, and the frame had split open at the seams. Well, I pulled it down and ran it because I didn't know any better. I didn't weld the seams back together.
Lucky somebody didn't catch a fucking motor in the crowd.
No shit.
Yeah, those were not so smart days. But
Yeah, when we went through tech, Dylan Oliver's like, "Do you know I can see down your frame." Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. He said, "We're just here for a good time."
Not a long time.
A good time
for
we
a
had.
good time.
Yep.
Well, fellas, you guys, Trae has spoke on it. This is probably going to be his last build for at least the summer. He might catch something maybe in the fall when it's not vacation weather. Because, as Trae works on the road as well.
Right. Well, he's kind of the stepchild of our organization, but he gets to come home.
Just make the long drive every day.
We get thrown in the same pool as him at work, but we do twice as much as they do.
I'm not even get started in that conversation.
That's that DOT to Columbia shit there.
So, Stephen, I'm going to ask you, are you kind of on, we know you're married with kids as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
You weren't like, make that promise too, did you?
My wife would love me to. Yeah, we got 2 little boys in the same situation as Trae. Finding time is the biggest issue with us right now, Derbian. So hats off to her for taking care of the kids when I'm out here, and same with Megan with Trae. But I don't know. Depends on what's left of these cars. Got to find a place to run them again, and if they're fixable, I got a couple of things out back that need a stub. It all depends on time. I'd love to run more shows this summer, but if I can find the time to do it and the help to do it, we'll do it. But if not, then we'll wait till maybe the fall.
Well, just like, Trae made that promise, but there was nothing ever said that he couldn't help you.
That is true. That is true.
Not running. So
if he helps me build a car,
I'm looking for yield signs, and
I brought it up to her the other day.
Those are called gray areas.
And she made a comment about what I was going to do the rest of the summer. And I was like, well, it depends what's left of this car. She's like, what do you mean that's what's left of it? So, well, if it's still good, I'll take somewhere unless it's junk. And she just turned around and looked at me and rolled her eyes. I've seen you take stuff and it looks like junk. I'm like, well, it's not always junk.
it just looks like junk.
it's supposed to look like that on the outside.
Guys, the world has seen the driver's list for Whiskey City. Your all's class especially. It's a little bit different when everybody else's class is 24 and your all's is 120.
Yeah.
Steven just wants to break it down as the first 24, 25.
Yeah.
Just cut it. That's heat 1, then heat 2, and heat 3. We know that you guys, everybody in the Derby world has buddies. Some of the guys you went to Border Wars with, your guys, your buddies, and even some new guys that you have started hanging out with, in the Derby world as well. Is there, I'm not asking strategy, which he usually thinks I'm asking. We talked before we hit the button. You guys have already said it's going to get fucking rowdy.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the other buddies that helped us build the cars are also taking cars, and we've all, we won't know what to do till we get there, and then it's just the pecking order. I mean, you got your groups, so they got their groups. You run it down. I mean, if we can run it down on the top 10 of Missouri guys or guys we know, then go at it. no hard feelings, shake hands afterwards. That's what it's about. As long as one of your buddies brings home in my opinion, if your buddy brings home a check, I mean, that's awesome. Instead of some guy you don't know at all or some Joe that just kind of wiggled through the cracks. But, I mean, hell, we can get down top 3 buddies in this no-hold bars. That's what I like. I mean, that's what I like doing.
So, the second part to that question, if either of you two qualify out of Whiskey City, have you talked that over with the wife? Or when you signed up, did she even know that, hey, this is a qualifier? You probably didn't tell her that. You left that shit in the gray side, right?
Yeah, because really I didn't even pay attention to that because I wasn't thinking about making it that far. I already told them if I get top 10, I'd be tickled to death with the drivers just like that, the caliber of the show, as many people as are going to be there. I'd be tickled to death with that. Mm-hmm. But the last couple of weeks, going from shop to shop, helping people, we've all joked about it. Like,
motherfucker hasn't been at my shop.
Wrong class.
Yeah, we don't know what to do. Stock class.
If it came down to it, yeah, we'd probably make the drive. We'd probably build a car and go out there and see what we could do.
Well, hopefully it comes down to that. I mean, it'd be tough.
Well, that's what you want. I mean, I
Yeah.
hope you're going out there with the intention on it coming down to that.
I'm just going out there not to be the last one and do good.
My fear, I just don't want something stupid to happen, like
Oh, yeah.
battery cable fall off and you not realize it, or hinting at Trae at Higbee.
Teddy just got lucky on that one.
Transmission, something with you left a bolt loose on the shifter or some shit. I just don't want something stupid to happen.
Shit
I
happens.
want to have a good run, good long heat, and hopefully the 10, 15 people we know going aren't in the same heat as us.
Well,
We can spread it out.
what
So
you all got going on, as close as you are with these cars, you ought to be able to check and double check all that shit.
But that's the thing. Hell, they're going to check and double check, and then they're going to get there and they're going to check, and then they're going to go through tech, and probably have to. They're probably not going to get through on the first time. I mean, I think every builder, except you, when he's like, I want to get through on the first tech. Well,
We'll see. I mean, I should.
you should. You really should. It just kind of takes some talk to back somebody down a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, because there's going to be some things that we discuss in the tech line. I already know that. Like,
Yep.
There's going to be discussions that are made. Like, I mean, 'cause there's some shit that they're going to be like, but I've already got a loaded gun. So
I'm glad Cordell doesn't listen to this.
he'll be all right. We can send him this one.
So
I'm just going to take fucking Derek with me. He can argue with Cordell.
won't be the first time. Probably won't be the last time. Is that? I'm trying to sit here. When you guys pull through that tunnel at Whiskey City, Trae's first indoor derby, Steven's
this-
first big show.
This is, I know that, like I said, Stanton was big. That was a big show.
Oh yeah.
Border Wars was a big show. The crowd was huge out there. You know, we got to see it. It's different when you've got those people on outside bleachers and shit. And whenever you get in that fucking arena and all those chairs are facing towards you, and that's what it feels like. I don't give a fuck if there's 50 cars on that track. It feels like everybody is looking at you. So it's a way different feeling. You know, like in Paris, you know, we've had 3,000 people there. It's different. They're all at, they're at the beer garden. They're fucking around down there at the end of the track on trailers. They're talking and all that bullshit. All eyes are on you when you pull through that tunnel. Whenever they announce your name and you pull out there on that track, there's not another fucking car moving around you, and everybody in that bitch is looking. So the atmosphere is just completely different when you put this shit inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what people are like, well, I run Mayhem or, Spring X, and that's awesome. Those are fucking killer shows. But like Hot Springs, even, whenever you're down there, just that fucking inside, there's not all that outside distraction. You're not looking back in the pits at what's going on. You're not turned around in the bleachers and shit. Everybody's just right there what's going on.
Yeah. Does the outcome of that chance of qualifying, does that play a part in how you guys plan on driving?
Well, it doesn't matter to him. He bags anyway. So
Who you pointing to? Clarify.
Both. I'm going to go both here. Say, man, fuck this. I qualified for South Dakota. I qualified for Gold Rush. Is that in your brain as you're on the track, or is that going to play no part in finding the skinny pedal?
Not at least for me. I mean, it's not going to be there initially, but if we get down to 5 cars, 4 cars, then yeah, it's going to enter the brain. Drive a little smarter. But I plan to go out there, have fun. We've put some time into these cars. They should be hard cars. Like you said, skinny pedal down, have a good time.
So
he's staying awful quiet.
Well, my deal is, are you going to wait for somebody to set the pace, or are you going to try to be the pace setter?
I always wait till see what somebody else is going to do.
Because a lot of that's going to depend on the draw. Because you might end up with 15 drivers that are fucking balls out.
Yep.
Drivers, and if that's the case, they're not going to wait.
Yeah, you ain't got a choice.
I mean, they're going to back off the fucking line, and that's how that's how it's going to be. But you may draw the more conservative drivers.
Mm-hmm.
You might get, Whitaker and all them that are very strategical drivers. Santel and all those guys. Like I'm not saying that Santel and them don't run hard, but they're strategical drivers. They're shot placers.
They have a plan from jump.
Yeah, and they've run so fucking much that it's not. They don't have that. I bet they don't have that nerve going in there. They're going out there to do work and work alone.
We've talked about them guys so much is that they don't ever get rattled.
Well,
nothing rattles them.
I know everybody gives me shit about talking about Rob all the time, but watch him pull on the track. Like there's not that big nerve factor. Yeah. He pulls out there on the track and he knows where he's going, what he's going to do. I mean, he knows he's already got that plan. He's going to work at that point, not going out there and trying to establish where the fuck he's going. Like he already knows. If he's out there on the track with this many different drivers that he knows is going to be going after him, well, he's going to put the front end over here, and I'm going to work this corner. But you take people like Trae and Steven here that have only been running. I mean, I know it says only 8 years, competitively for 4.
Yeah, that's fair.
But they don't have the experience, and especially in this setting.
Yeah.
I think that'll play into your drive style a bunch.
Oh yeah, I'll see what the pace does, and I mean once we realize our heats, kind of get a game plan, the pecking order, who we need to take out first. We need to go ahead and take out a big namer, get them out of the way, or kind of see how they fall out, or see what other guys are going to do. But usually, I'll just wait till somebody hits me, and then I'll just turn it on from there and see what it does. But I don't know. With big names like that, I know what my car can do and what I can do, but also I know what other guys' cars can do. And if they're a better builder, which, I mean, a lot of people probably are compared to what we know from years, that you just basically got to outdrive them or hope that you can do something and another teammate will do something else.
I know that, I was fucking with Greg Neal the other day because he's running the same class I am. I was like, well, I say after they drop the flag, me and you just go down the corner. And it'll look like $1,000 ways or a million ways to die in the West. Like, don't mess with us. We're over here. We're fighting. Leave us alone. It's a hard fought battle over here. Because I plan on having no stickers left on the side of my car by the time I'm done.
Any paint?
No, I'm gonna rub the paint.
Just gonna rub the factory paint off of it.
Yeah.
The show of this magnitude, and we keep saying that.
Sam's going to have to start paying us.
This thing is huge.
Yeah, you guys are advertising the hell out of
it. You have guys such as, like Steven just said, Don Santel, Bob Whitaker, Chris Collins. You got guys who are very technical and still run hard. But then you've got guys such as Dalen Brown, Adam Lemonager, and I can keep going because those guys are strategic but still run hard as shit.
Well, I mean, you got PJ, and I mean,
Yes.
all those guys. I mean, they're out there. Their game plan over the winter was to build the hardest fucking car they could build, that they could drive how they wanted. Which that should be everybody's strategy. But there's some that build the car the way they know how, and know how it's going to hold up. The people that build for the bend. That we've talked about. Like, they know where their fucking car is going to go. They know where it's going to bend. They know what shots they need to make, what shots they take, all that shit. And then you've got the guys like Dalen and them that build just the hardest fucking car that they can possibly put together. Where, if somebody doesn't tilt like somebody else does or whatever, they know the front end's a little weaker on their car. Like Dalen and them, they're not going to try to leave any of that up to chance. They want that motherfucker as hard as possible.
A lot of these guys are not going to build. They're not going to what I would call R&D at this show.
Right.
They're building to what they know every way possible.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, man, maybe I should try this. No, fuck that.
No, I'm going to build it the
Save
way I
that
know
shit
how
for
the
a
fuck
local
it
show.
is.
Yeah. So, do you have a preference? Because we know. Do you want to be one of the first couple heats on Friday features, or do you want to be on Saturday?
I'd rather go Friday.
You would?
Yep.
I'd say the same. Yeah.
I'm always nervous till about 2 hits in. So I don't care where everybody's like, oh, I'm never nervous. You're always nervous at some point. Till that green flag drop, especially if you know a good list of drivers in there, or, you look at somebody's car and like, oh, shit, I should have done that, or I wonder what that's going to do to that car, or why'd they do that. There's always a reason shows like this people do certain things because they know what it's going to do and when it's going to stop. But I don't know. I'd rather do it Friday, get it over with, have a good time the rest of the weekend, and just watch. But
There'll be knots in my stomach till that first hit's made, especially pulling out on that track. I'll have butterflies, I'll have knots in my stomach, and we like to think we're coming as prepared as we can be. We've built some hard cars, had a lot of help. Appreciate those guys; they know who they are. But yeah, we want to go out there and compete. And if it comes down to us getting a qualifying spot, that'd be an awesome prize, to take away from it.
You talk about the nerves, and we talk about it every episode. Like, the first time I went out there and actually run at Blizzard Bash in stock class, it was coming in waves like 2 weeks before we went out there. I was like, fuck. Here we go. Like, this shit's happening. And I think the closer we get to showtime, everybody's going to be like that. Especially with the driver's list out there. It's fucking insane.
This thing is going to be wild.
I'm just excited to watch this motherfucker. You're putting the country's top drivers all at one spot.
Usually, that's what we talk about is the Blizzard Bash and the Carnage.
Right.
Now, the Derby world is giving you so many more options. It just depends on how far you want to go out of your region. Is it something that maybe maybe next summer, when you don't make that gray area promise, to try to maybe venture out a little bit more, maybe try that Spring X with a team possibility, going back to Border Wars for next year because we know you're not going this year, or even a T-Bone show up in Oskaloosa.
Because within 5 hours of where we're sitting right now, you can be at several big shows.
Huge shows. Huge. Sturgis, Kentucky is roughly 5 hours from right here. Oskaloosa, Iowa. Topeka.
Yep.
Peoria.
Pecatonica.
Champaign. That's a
Hot
lot.
Springs. Hot Springs is 6.5 or so.
I know I would like Trae's shop. There's really 4 of us that build in here: me, Trae, Cody Irwin, and Cameron Cloven. And granted, Cameron only had a year in the game, and he got out for a little bit. But I would love to see us 4 do a team show somewhere. And I know it takes a lot of time, a lot of resources, but it helps. We're all in the same shop. We can all check each other's shit.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a goal of mine, is for all 4 of us to go somewhere.
yeah, I'd do that. That's what we've always talked about, me and Cody, after the Border Wars, that we want to do a big team show with all 4 of us. And then we kind of jumped in the street stock class and kind of just threw that idea away. And
Well, they have a light weld team show out in Topeka, I think.
yeah, we've
that's
joked
not a very,
about
that's not
that.
a very big show. Is it?
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think any of these guys out of the shop have cradles, full cradles. We all know they all run lower stuff, but no full cradles,
Well, that's just a
no protectors.
PayPal payment away.
That shit gets old after a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Add to cart.
Wait till she sees that invoice and then deal with it after.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission.
It is. It is. Is there anything that you guys are questioning? Kind of a multi-part question here. Not your first big show, Trae, but Stephen's first big show. Is there anything you're questioning, whether it's a car choice, whether it's a, should we have freshened this motor up? Did I get it hot, last fall at Paris? Did I get it hot at Madison last fall? Is there anything that you guys are questioning about what you're taking?
Not right now. There's always going to be that thought as you go on the track, man, what did I forget? And you're going to be in the middle of the Derby and you're going to realize, oh, shit, I forgot to tighten this. But right now, we're almost done with both of these. Mine has a little more left to do than Trae's. But we're to the point where we're nitpicking right now. And that's how you want it to be. You want to go out and drive them, run the piss out of them at home, make sure everything's going to hold up. And come Derby time, everything's solid, everything's buttoned up, everything's tight. I can't think of anything right now that I'm really worried about. Like I said, I just don't want something stupid to happen. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah, and I'm about the same way. I mean, I've drove mine 4 or 5 times, go up and down the gravel road, let it run for a while, and just make sure everything's working right, there's no leaks, runs good. But I have upgraded quite a few things, so that's why I've been trying a little bit more to test drive and make sure everything's working order. Mine's technically probably been done for 2 weeks, but every time I come in here and I work on his, I'll think of something on mine. I'll walk over there and write it down or look at it, which I'm real bad about it. I usually push him and Cameron pretty hard that I like to be done 2 weeks before the Derby. And each car go on a lift, and all 3 of us walk underneath it, touch something, grab something, wiggle, and then the next week do the same thing to mine or to Cody's. So the day of the Derby, we load the cars, we load the tools. There's no ifs, ands, or but what we didn't do.
And especially a show like this when it's just a one and done. And that was part of the attraction to it, was you didn't have to fix nothing. So you want to make sure your stuff's right going into it so you can last the one heat you got and make the most of it.
100%.
Because you don't have a do-over with this show.
No, we can't all
Pecatonica.
Yeah, I mean, there's a do-over.
If they'll take pre-runs, which they won't.
Yeah, I think that's all fresh on for that street stock deal.
Let's back up into some of the local shit that they run. I know that I've got to give Trae some credit, not a bunch because I don't want his head getting too big, but we were doing that big benefit deal at Paris, and Trae won, and we tried to give him his check, and he signed it over to Blake. And that kind of shows that what this Derby communities were, what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And you didn't even have a second thought about doing that. Like, what did you just?
Well, me and Megan talked about it 'cause, we just had a little girl, and I've known. Blake's helped me with cars. I've hunted with Blake. I've always known all them guys real well, and that's just devastating to anybody that happened to them.
100%.
And we were talking about it before I went out there. Megan always gives me a kiss before I put my helmet on. She's like, "If you win, are you going to donate your money?" And I laughed. I said, "Well, yeah, if I win, sure." I said, "But I'm probably not because the track was full that night.
Yep.
It was a hell of a stack of drivers and good cars, fresh cars, pre-runs." And then afterwards, they just asked me. I'm like, "No, I don't want it."
Yeah.
Because I would like to help anybody out in a situation like that. Because I couldn't. If that was me in my situation, I would.
100%.
I would have been devastated.
But that kind of shows you what what you deal with the Derby community. I mean, how
Just us dumbass rednecks.
yeah,
I mean, we keep going back to that. You know,
yeah,
that just shows the progress of what a bunch of dumbass country boys wrecking each other's cars, what it means to everybody else. You know,
and since we're on the topic of that, I think we ought to probably bring up the Bobby.
yeah. A lot of the
Go ahead and
guys
take a second on that.
A lot of the guys that know Track Shot Live, Mr. Bobby Brockway lost his life this week.
Yep.
Shit news, great dude.
I had talked to Bobby quite a few times before they come down at Mother's Day, but the 3 days that we had with them down there was worth a lifetime because, I mean, I stayed in contact with the dude after that. We were trying to line some shit up for this summer.
Yeah, he was going to come down.
Yeah.
Which I told you I hadn't talked to him since 2015 or 16 at Blizzard Bash, and as soon as he got there, it was just like we never even missed a beat.
Yeah, it was, just a killer dude. It just, you hate seeing stuff like that happen to anybody, but then in the Derby community, it just fucking terrible. I woke up and had to be at work, and I left at like 5:30 in the morning, and my Facebook news feed was just filled with it. So I wanted to, extend our, our sympathy and stuff for the Track Shot Live team and Bobby's family.
So you can actually start really paying attention on Facebook. I know there's some people doing some raffles.
Yeah.
I think TSL is breaking out shirts for this coming week. That all that money is going to go to, Bobby's family.
Yeah. Because he had a boy and a girl.
Yep.
Just a bad deal.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. And I said it. Me and Skinny were talking, and I said 2023 fucking sucks right now.
Yeah.
You
It seems like you either start off on top or, it's something like this, and you never want to see it go this direction.
Hopefully the rest of the year will progress to the good side and get all the
100%.
shitty stuff over with, early. But yeah, so guys, pay attention on that Facebook. Like I said, TSL, Track Shot Live. They've got links out starting this, I believe, tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday, is when they said that's going to come out. So, and they're cool ass shirts.
Yeah. Well, fucking Bobby was an icon. He's won some big shows.
Big shows, Blizzard Bash, Spring X. I'm not sure if he's won Mayhem or not, but I know he's finished in there, and I don't know how many shows he's won in Indiana, but it's
he messaged me about trying to find a Bubble Ford, and I told him I knew where a couple were, and I sent him some pictures and shit. Not clean enough, because he was actually in the middle of a build.
Just got his motor.
Yep.
Like I said, Derby World lost a great dude, so be thinking about his mom, his kids, and all his TSL guys. I know they're actually there right now in Indiana. So Skinny just got out of the hospital, and he gets to go take a drive to Indiana.
Yeah.
Send one of his homies home. So think about them guys. Let's get off the bad side.
Well, let's go back to some of our basics. What was your favorite track, Trae?
It used to be Shabana, just because that's where I always watched Dad. Dad built cars with Matt Gill and Shabana when he worked at Ricketts, and he'd pick me up from school, or someone would take me over Shabana, and I would stay in the shop with them all night long and help them. But then when you start running Paris, obviously hometown show, I liked it, and everybody being there to watch, and always had a good crowd, always good car count.
What about you, Steven?
Yeah, I'd say Paris was probably my favorite, not just to give Filthy Promotions a shout out, but you guys, who are those guys?
Never heard of it.
You guys did a good job with the track, and the car counts for each of those shows were always on par. There was always a bunch of cars, good competition, and your family being in town and friends being able to see you run that, didn't want to make the drive to some of the other
Right.
places was probably my favorite part about it.
That Paris, we've talked about it several times. That one's gone. So Derek, how was that?
That was fucking good.
Somebody should have videoed that shit.
I was thirsty.
You got some more, we could
I
recreate
see
it.
that. Teddy's going to disagree with me, but we tried to have the best track that we could everywhere we went.
And I'm not busting Teddy's nuts at all. I'm not.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go right ahead.
One shit track that we had control of.
Right.
It decimated every other awesome, unreal track.
Well, you've heard that old saying, right? You
Yeah.
build 1,000 bridges. Nobody calls you a bridge builder. You suck one dick. You're a cocksucker for life.
Life. We love the. I'm not going to say I hate sandbagging because I don't. If it's
There's a difference between sandbagging and driving.
correct.
Trae sandbags. Steven drives.
You're talking hero, right? Trae?
This thing we love, super fast paced, wide open. Whether it was promoters or whether it was just watching. I've always said I hated watching Metal Mayhem because it was so boring.
Hot Springs was the same way, though, until it got down to the end of that.
But when you have those type of builds of really a hobo stock, I mean, I keep doing air quotations
Right.
because the cars are going to bend, and I sit there and I watch Mayhem, and it was Vic Whaley and Bob Whitaker. It's like I never heard a motor over 3,500 RPMs until they were down to the last 5 or 6.
Well, maybe there was something stuck under the throttle. But no, I liked Paris's track as far as, Palmyra's was a bad motherfucker too. And we found a big correlation with anywhere that they have tractor pulls and they will let you put a derby on there, you can have a tire burning hard fucking track.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you get 3 inches of rain the day before or whatever. Because we thought Palmyra was going to be a fucking mess. We thought Mother's Day was going to be bad. Because the night that we started working on the track, we walked out that bitch and I went down 3 or 4 inches in mud. And we got skid loaders out there and pushed that shit off. And it was like you start pushing and then all of a sudden you were fucking digging at that point.
It was base.
And I was like, oh, well, maybe we can bring this around. But the whole track situation, like Shelbina, that was fucking horrible. We keep bringing that up. Fuck.
And what really, really sucks, because that was going to get stupid.
Uh-huh.
The guys that were there, that came for that show, it was going to get straight fucking nasty.
It did. The track did.
Yeah, the
Like I
track
said,
got really nasty.
Really fucking nasty. Right in the middle of it.
Let's jump a little bit. There is a new promoter, which we have spoke about in this area. He's got 2 in Shelbina and 1 in Lewistown. I know Trae had talked about Shelbina, just because that's where he spent a lot of his time. Have you guys been talking about, which Trae's gray area promise can't really be justified for this, but Stephen, have you looked into going back to Shelbina, this summer and trying to support MJC?
Well, I got a car out back that needs a stub, and it's looking for a place to go, but again, I gotta find the time. And if I can convince Cameron to help me build a car, maybe Trae, since he's not technically building his own, we might throw that thing together and try to run one of those shows.
All Derby guys looking for that gray area.
All the time.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see how this year goes. I really am. I'm ready to see how all this local shit plays out. Because we've got two more that run a lot of local shit that they're headed to the big stage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
where you guys would have normally spent all winter building cars for around here this summer, you all built one car for Sam.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, Austin even said, we got, 5 or 6 runs out of one street stock.
Right.
And I think this last year in 22, Trae he started with Mother's Day, but you got to run that a handful of times.
Yeah, 5 or 6 probably.
Yeah. So I think that's what a lot of the guys are wanting the street stock for, is because you should get more than just a couple runs out of it.
Yeah, way better than a stock car.
And then they got rid of that fucking class.
Yeah.
Not everybody got rid of that class.
My God, you chugged that thing down. Smirnoff, what I'm talking about. Don't get your minds twisted.
Well, what he does after dark.
Yeah,
Easy.
he chugged that Smirnoff and made eye contact with me the whole time.
Yeah, that's why we got to start getting video of this shit.
So I think we're just going to talk about it. Lucky Sevens, their promotion group, Joshua and Jacob Wood and their team, they announced that their shows will have these cars that I'm looking at right here.
Yep. Which will give somebody some options to do something with their Whiskey City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not just
I've
sitting
got a camera on me.
Do you? Chug it, pussy.
I'm kind of impressed. I'm not gonna lie.
Screwdriver?
I don't taste it.
I tasted mine.
I might be grabbing that buzz back from last night.
So the Lucky Sevens guys, they are what Steven calls keeping the finger on the pulse.
Yep. Which we had talked back and forth. They had messaged me and stuff and asked what I would have done this year, and I just told them, I was like, well, I probably would have adapted Sam's rules because that's where all the cars are going. I mean, especially if people that are running Whiskey City are going to go run Pecatonica, if they've got anything left after Whiskey City, there's a car.
Yeah, because they got to have fresh for Peck.
Yep.
And you just said.
And then after Pecatonica, there's some more cars.
2 shows, 2 episodes in a row. There's 4 cars that probably can be fixed.
Yeah.
To go run.
Well, there's enough people around here that are running both of those shows that would have made my class if I could have got half of them.
Yes.
Because all I was ever looking for was enough to do one and dones anyway.
Yeah.
Because out of all the shows that you all run of mine, I don't know that you ever run heats, did you?
I don't think so.
No, I'd rather have one and done.
You fucking ain't right.
It's actually been a long time since we've run a heat show.
Yeah.
Because I was standing in the bed of a truck. I can't remember where we was at, and we mentioned heats, and they was like getting ready to throw shit at me.
Oh yeah, I thought I was going to get run over.
They was like, we didn't bring no shit for heats. Okay, fuck
Well, I was just giving you all the option.
Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't want to do it either.
it. No, never been a fan of heats.
Not on a local scale. It is what it is. I know that a lot of those places are trying to drag shit out and stuff, but I did not want to. Fuck that.
But
Let's
when
go.
that's the
4
difference
hours
when-
and get the fuck out of
When
here.
you've got, an average of 70, 80 cars, you don't want people there at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I think my deal really stemmed from, I can't drink if I'm promoting. And everybody else is having a bunch of fucking fun around me, and I'm standing on the dirt doing one of the worst fucking jobs out there. Like, Mike Rowe had that show, Dirty Jobs. I want to start one called Shitty Jobs. And they just fucking follow me on my day-to-day.
From
Because
Thursday to Sunday morning.
yeah, everybody's just fucking hanging out, and you're standing up there on the dirt, and they're all fucking hooting and hollering and having a good time, drinking beer and shit. And you're like, well, I guess I can do that at 2 o'clock in the morning whenever we get done.
Yeah. And you don't even feel like doing it.
But if we were wrapping those shows up in 4 hours and tore down and ready to go, everybody was still hanging out at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Well, you could get off the dirt and you could go talk to people. You cannot do that if your show lasts till 3 o'clock in the fucking morning and it's 4:30 before everybody gets out of there.
Yeah.
And then you got your lovely wife that can't walk because you all are coming off COVID, and we've been there for 14 fucking hours. You got people fighting in the parking lot and just trying to get him to get the fuck out of there, knock him out and put him in the truck and take him home.
Yeah.
But like, I've seen a lot of those shows where they had, you know, a 20 car stock count, and they're like, all right, we're going to run heats, and we're going to take 4 out of this heat, 4 out of this heat, and we're going to take 3 out of the consi. I'm like, you fucking cocksuckers, just put them all on the track and let them run.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we're going to get out there and let them fight down to 3 in each heat.
And bag their dick off.
And I have already just demolished their, either that or they run hard in those heats, demolish their fucking cars, and then you've got a shit feature on your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, and usually I only
Whenever
have
I do- whenever-
enough cars to consi. Oh, we're taking 4 out of the consi. Well, 4 show up.
Yeah. So everybody gets to go. Well, why the fuck? You just defeated your purpose.
Yeah.
Let them all run. And whenever I explain that to some of these other guys, some of these other towns that did that, they were like, well, you got to make the show last longer. I was like, if you have good enough drivers, they will do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Add a class, pussy.
So, guys, with the wife and the kids, do you guys have maybe a set game plan of how long you guys are wanting to do this, or are you just going to ride it out until
the divorce is threatened?
Until Mama says?
I'll ride it out till I don't want to do it no more. I mean, I watched my dad do it my whole childhood. And, I mean, he just retired again last year, which I'm sure he's already talked about because we got a couple cars out back. And when Stevens brought it up to build a stock car, I was like, well, I got a car out back. We could probably throw it together real quick. And that's when the old man is, well, you know, I could drive that. I'm like, no, you're retired. You just stay in that retired section. But, no, I'll pretty much do it until I get sick of it. And the way I feel about it, I really don't. I mean, this and waterfowl hunting is what I really drive to do.
Well, if you want to speed that process up, put on a couple derbies.
Just probably don't even got to do a couple. They just do one.
Yeah. That's what you all should do right there. No Paris Derby. You all are
You-
taking a
you-
fucking year off.
You did a fine job. You
Right
oughta-
there.
How many people told us that? And we're like, probably not. No, thank you.
I'm just telling you. I mean, you all are taking a year off. You're not building cars. Right there. That'll get you in the game, but keep you out of the game. Right there.
I mean, you said we got to have 6 friends. We don't have 6 friends.
I don't either anymore after I quit promoting.
You're never going to live that down, ever.
Steve will be your head tech.
Ever going to live that down. But that was one of the funniest things I've ever saw at a derby in my entire life.
That is what it is.
The same
But yeah.
section of the crowd is where you had to get mouthy with that guy too.
Yeah, I don't like that though. Like I said, we hit on that.
Ah, fuck, I enjoyed it.
I've always prided myself on not losing my shit. So, you know, when you do that, then that means it's time to change something.
I have really missed this year. I haven't been called a cocksucker on Facebook yet.
Yet.
And I kind of miss
It's only
it.
February, dude.
Right.
But like I said, we're going to Peoria in 3 weeks, so that could come quicker than you were thinking.
Very true. I did get a phone call the other day. Hey, when's your fucking schedule coming out? It's out.
0.
Yeah. You haven't posted your rules or anything. Yeah.
No, the future for me, and my wife will probably kill, both of our wives will probably kill us for saying this. We've already got so much invested in these cars, and if you really think about the money, now granted it took us 8 years to accumulate all this. It's not like we just spent it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, little pieces here and there accumulated all these parts. So I'm in it for a long time. My wife will hate me for saying that, but this Whiskey City show was just the stepping stone into hopefully some bigger shows. You know, Blizzard Bash, you know, would love to get to that eventually. Maybe Spring X, you know, some of these other team shows, would love to do those. So
Now, last year you got to dabble in a little bit of dirt track racing as well, right?
Yeah, my father-in-law, Brad Callison, got into that with Gary.
You can't talk about Brad on here. He's too much of a local legend.
Oh, okay. Him and Gary Wilson go way back, and they got into racing again, and I think Brad has since retired again, and Gary's still rocking and rolling. But yeah, I was thinking about racing for a little bit, but it just didn't work out for me.
Because circle tracks suck.
Well, if you have the mentality that you want to hit somebody, that is not the place to do it.
You better get a picture of this. Trey's opening a alcohol beverage.
Cayman
I'll try
Jack.
it.
Cayman Jack
wanna try it?
margarita.
What flavor is that?
The regular one, I think.
No,
Regular
that's
Cayman Jack.
strawberry.
Margarita. That's not
You want
bad.
strawberry?
Yeah.
I'm gonna crack me.
Yeah, I love the sport. Love the camaraderie between the guys. I don't see
We're all drinking
myself.
something. So we've got a Busch Light, we've got a couple strawberries. We just all need to take a drink at one time, boys. Cheers. Hey, this one's for Bobby.
Yep. I didn't know we was doing that. I took a drink and they chugged theirs.
You good?
Yeah, somebody else is going to have to drive Jeff City. Oh, fuck around.
But
Oh, that shit'll have you beating the dog at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Done that a
Go
few
home and
times.
smack my old lady.
you better duck because she smacks back.
I ain't shit. Oh, so anyway, why'd you choose the cars you chose?
Oh, we've had good luck. Usually I run square body Lincolns, but I always put a 98-02 frame underneath it or a stub. And he had this car, I had a car. We didn't have to go buy nothing. So
And they look clean. I mean, they look clean.
they're not Trae Hayhurst clean, but they're
Clean,
clean.
for us.
Yeah.
Trae Hayhurst clean has to be straight off the fucking assembly line.
Yeah.
That's his definition.
He
of
likes to
clean.
see it in his little black hair reflection in it.
Yeah.
I've seen him once put his hair next to the frame, and if it's that color, that's what he rolls with.
I think he uses Head and Shoulders.
No Pert Plus. No Pert
Oh
Plus.
man, I'm gonna have to slide one of those stickers on his car. Sponsored by.
I mean, 119 is your hero.
It is.
It is going on the car.
No,
Yeah.
we've never divvied in the old iron yet. I'd like to, but it's one of the things I have no idea what to do with it. I'd have to ask him a million questions, spend $1 million to get a good clean one.
Well, we've talked about that because I wanted to. I've always, I like going against the norm because I've owned a slug of these fucking new styles, and usually traded them for Mopars, and everybody's like, "You're a fucking idiot," Here I was trading, a 98-02 for a fucking M-body Mopar, and they're like, "Why in the fuck would you do that?" Well, I don't know. Nobody else is running them. I want to run one. So I went and bought those Y-framers and was going to try that. Well, I bought 2 of them, and I was like, well, I need like 6 to try to get them figured out. So you hear a lot of guys, well, I'd like to try the old iron deal, but you're going to have to go buy 6 of them motherfuckers
Yeah.
because like everybody will help you, but they're not going to tell you.
Right. They're not going to tell you everything
I mean,
they know.
they'll push you in the right direction, but you're going to have to jump 2 or 3 of them motherfuckers before you figure out what you're doing.
Well, that's the thing with these new styles. We've junked many a new styles, and we're just now getting to a point where we feel like now, we've had some help.
Right.
I'll give everybody that, but we're just now getting to a point where we think we've got them as hard as we can possibly get them.
Well, and that's how that shit works. I mean, it is. Every time you run a car, and I know that you all run enough of these new styles that you've learned they're not all. None of them are the same.
No.
None of them bend in the same spot. I mean, you can kind of ballpark that shit. Like whenever Steven was running the square bodies, they were going to bend under the door after you got the front end figured out. Like that's what they were going to do. The rails were going to go.
Yeah.
But they may not bend in the same spot. So your down tube placement is not the same, or you found out that you moved it 3 inches forward, it stopped that and bent somewhere else. So it just takes you've got to have a fleet. You've got to have a fucking fleet of cars. And it's almost better to do what you all have done and pick something and stuck with it. Because you're either going to be successful or fail, but either way, it's going to be consistent.
What did Grant Bowling get told on our episode with him? He got told, 98 to 02, you build them until you figure them completely out before you ever switch from something to something else.
And I feel like it's that way with anything, you know, because I guarantee you can ask Rob, Trae, Teddy, Corey, all them. The first Cadillac they run did not turn out
No.
the way they are now.
No.
I mean, and that goes with anybody, you know, I mean, even fucking, I even hate to say this, Brian Powell with his fucking Impalas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the first, I mean, he admitted that. The first couple that he run were trash, which I mean, he still sucks, but
I heard he was your idol.
yes, that's actually Daddy. That's Josh Gordon's
But
father.
at that point in time, you know, back then, the 74, 5, and 6 Impala, I mean, he had a whole slug of them.
Well, it didn't matter. Whenever, like, at that point, you could go to the fucking junkyard, and you didn't pick the cleanest one. You picked the one that run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it took you 15 minutes to get one of them running, well, I want that one. Here's $25. I'll bring it back when I'm done and grab another one. That is $2,500 now,
Yes.
and they don't run, and they might not be as clean as you think they are.
Yeah, that's we have spoke so much. I mean, one of these cars you'll see on Facebook for $1,000.
Yeah.
Which I'll post a link to Trae Hammond's number after this episode. He's got a really clean Cadillac sitting outside that he wants $800 for. But he has been working second shift, so you got to call after midnight. And if he doesn't answer, you just keep calling. He said you got to call at least 4 times before he usually gets the phone call because of his service and location and whatnot.
You're going to get pipe bombed. He's throwing that shit out there.
And at that $800 price, he will deliver within the continental U.S.
I'd say I'd probably already hold 20 cars for the show already.
And he's got 2 Suicide Lincolns out back. He said he'd take $400 a piece for. One of them has a cage in it.
Can I go get cash?
I could use some cash right now.
Yeah, I'll go get some cash.
Goddamn! You remember whenever they were doing that shit to Nice and all them before Blizzard Bash? Motherfuckers. Put that shit on Craigslist.
Yep.
Oh. There was almost fistfights over some of that shit.
Yeah, I understand the practical joke, but, you know, when my shit's getting blowed up in the night, yeah, I'm going to get mad. I can only take so much. But, you know, these dudes, sitting there looking at them, you know, they done these right. Without a doubt.
We ought to back up a little bit. And what was the first shop like that you were building out of?
Not like
This
this.
is what I like.
I like this one.
This is what I like to start with because it's great. The adaptation that comes from where you start to where you're at now. Because I remember coming out to Santa Fe.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough where I rented a house for my brother-in-law. There was a 100 by 60 shed. And when I moved there,
Shed.
you could pull a pickup in it.
It was a shed.
Yeah. Well, me and Cody hauled, I think, 3 dump trucks load of scrap, 4 dump trucks load of trash.
This fucking thing was just full of bullshit.
Storage.
Yeah. They bought it from a farmer to square off their land, and he grabbed some things and then left. So my brother said, well, if you clean it, you can do whatever you want in there. And it was half concrete, half dirt. The concrete side is where they used to store grain. So it had slanted walls, everything. So we ripped the slanted walls out. And then we start building cars in there.
The fucking lighting, it looked like you had
a candle.
like 4 candles
Yeah.
set up.
Ceiling, I don't even know how tall
Dark
the
as
ceiling.
hell.
You could drive a damn semi in there.
I come out there, he called me one day and told me to come out and look at something. I come out there and I was like, I don't know what you want me to look at. I can't see a fucking thing in here.
Yeah. And that's when I went to start working construction. And that's when that big paychecks start coming in, and I just start throwing it at that shed. And we got lights, and we got more outlets, and then we finally bought a lift. I still remember
Didn't have a lift for years.
Yeah, me and Cody bought a lift, And I think the first day we put a car on it, me and him sat underneath it for like 2 hours in a chair. Like, what the fuck have we been doing the last 4 years?
Jack stands, jacks everywhere.
Tractors picking things up and just leaving them in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Real safe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it was good because of the size, because we would build 5 cars in it, because that's what my dad would run. And then we'd help build his car. Well, we would build his car.
Hey, no.
He'd come drive it.
I'd junk it.
And then me
Isn't
and
that
Matt,
what Trae does with Rob now?
pretty much.
Thanks, Dad.
And then I bought this place about 2 years ago, and Mennonite owned it, and he was a welder. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. That thing's going to be set up, going to be sweet. We walked in here. 2 of the lights worked. There were barn swallows flying everywhere, square bales, fucking plywood was just hanging off. I'm like, oh my gosh. But a lot of time and a lot of money from everybody. We spent about 4 weeks painting new lights, building the storage, getting everything lined up. We tore down, it had living quarters in it. We tore all that down, opened more space, and moved the lift in here, and we can build 5 cars in here comfortably.
Used to be a leather shop.
Got a wood stove now. Didn't have a wood stove before, so we were always in bibs. Cold as hell.
Yeah, everybody would be fighting over the damn salamander, who's standing in front of it. We joked about that this last winter. I'd come, when I go to work in the morning, I'd start a fire. So time everybody got here, it'd be nice and warm. And we joke, we're like, man, what would we do at the old shop? A couple of them, I wouldn't be fucking working today. I'll tell you that. No, yeah, you let that wood stove run about 30 minutes and you're in a t-shirt.
Well, yeah.
No, we're definitely fortunate enough to have a nice place like this, because I've been to somebody's shops and I'm like, oh shit, how do you do this in the winter? I mean, they'll build cars all winter long out, open side front shed.
Fuck. I've been, with blankets and shit hanging over walls and scrap tin, and fuck, man.
It just takes your drive out of you when you're miserable.
Well, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Some of this shit's not fun anyway.
No.
And then if the conditions aren't right, it's really not fucking fun.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take me much to get unmotivated anyway. Like that motor last night, about hour 2 into that motherfucker, I was like, this is stupid. But the shop I was in was nice. There was a fully stocked bar right through a door.
Yep.
That made things better. But if I was still doing it, like we had Michael Huff on here that time, and he said that he was pulling bodies and shit off with a cherry picker. Fuck that.
How the hell is he doing that?
One on the front, one on the back.
No.
Just one?
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Just one cherry picker.
Yeah, pick it up and then
Roll it over.
roll it over on its side.
I've seen Cody Henry on Snapchats where he cherry pickers front and back and lifts it up.
Yeah.
We're
Well, that's a
fortunate.
little different, but fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'm not fucking doing it. I changed that one transmission in my fucking driveway in that car to go to Quincy, and never will I ever do that again. Because I got to thinking, I was like, you fucking idiot. Would you do this in your pickup? Would you put a transmission in your truck in this driveway? Nope.
No.
Why in the fuck am I doing it to a derby car?
It's called dedication, dude.
But they don't make mechanic shops for derby cars yet,
No,
or that
no.
I've found, where you can drop it off and come back and pick it up later.
Well, I know a
think
couple
there is
places,
just-
but you just gotta pay a little bit more money than what you
Yeah,
like.
but I'm just saying around here, like if you can't pull it out $80 and be like, hey, go ahead and pull us down. I want these plates here. And then I'll be back.
I'm pretty sure Teddy does that stuff. You drop cars off his place, he'll build them for you.
You just leave him a note on the dash.
There you go. Yeah, we'll post his number and
I got his address, so I'll drop it.
This shit's starting to get scandalous.
No, we're fortunate enough
We can
that
stop all that for $25 a month.
no, I piggyback off my cousin a lot. He's got a skid loader and he's right down the road. And during harvest and spring on the weekends when we're not working in here, I'll go work a full weekend and he'll just write that down as skid loader use. I put 2 or 3 hours on it on the weekend. We pull bodies, we move cars. Usually, if my brother and them aren't in the hayfield, he'll leave me a tractor here, just an old Ford open cab tractor. It does the job enough we can move one of these cars in and out of the shop after the derby, or
That old tractor's hauled more cars and
probably more than it's hauled hay.
But I mean, there's a lot of it because there's still a lot of guys out there that are building on dirt floored, little single bay shops.
Kudos to them.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be me.
I mean, shit, I know people that's got a decent shop with a lift in it, and you got to build your car outside. Because you can't walk through the fucking thing.
Yeah.
You got every tool known to man, but can't get in the fucking shop.
Yep.
Hell, the first couple derby cars I built was on the gravel floor, helped them and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, Dad and Matt Gill's old shit, it was just a hoop barn. I mean, had a little blown insulation on it, but
Yeah.
it was just colder and shit out there, but they always did for years.
I've always been fortunate, which, you know, I mean, like out there at Moe's and shit, like there, like he always had a good shop, fucking wood stove, like no lift, but still concrete, heated, tools you needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because hell, I see a lot of those guys, you know, that are running like gut and goes and shit. They're like,
They have no shop.
Well, let me go grab my tools, and they pull out a fucking 250-piece Harbor Freight set. There's my toolbox.
Mm-hmm. Wrenches and
Yeah.
ratchets and no power tools.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I wouldn't start in on one of these cars anymore without cordless fucking tools.
I tell you, one of the tools that we got a couple years ago that really changed the game for us was the plasma cutter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you ain't got to worry about, oxygen, acetylene.
Oh, yeah.
You just fire that thing up. You got to have air. You got to
Right.
have a good compressor. But once you have that, you can cut anything in seconds, and
Yep.
it's so much faster than a torch. And you ain't got
Electricity,
the
air and a ground.
Yeah.
And you can tear some shit up.
But, I mean, you see a lot of these guys roughing it. These guys are not roughing it.
No, this ain't roughing it.
No.
I'm glad my boy ain't here because he done asked if he can come out and build his shit here.
I've had quite a few people.
Well, and we've talked before. I've got that shop, but I've got a shop that is, I mean, basically mine, but it's in fucking Shelvina. Well, I don't want to fucking drive up there all the time. Because Mo's got that shop. It's a 55 by 75, and my lift and shit's in it. But then you're fucking 30 minutes from the house. That's what's convenient for you, Trae.
Yeah.
Like you
2
can
minutes.
fucking take off running and roll to your house.
No, that's like when we moved here, my old house is 30 more minutes out.
Right.
We moved here, and that's what I told the guys. I'm like, fuck, why did we drive all the way out there? What were we doing way out in Santa Fe? 'Cause that's what we'd work till 1 or 2. Well, like Cameron now, he lives in Hallsville, and we all leave, we work till midnight. He's like, I gotta drive. I'm like, oh shit, I'll be
fuck
in
yeah,
bed
you
time
do.
you get to your
See you
house.
later.
Well, it definitely does take dedication.
Well, we appreciate you guys getting on here. Derek, you got anything else you want to hound them about? Or
No, man, I just want to wish them luck. I
Yep.
hope everything goes as good as they hope for. Like I said, 2 slick-ass looking cars. So pay attention to, I think you're going to be paying attention if you catch our episodes on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's going to be some photos, kind of a slideshow. Don't worry, guys.
mainly just me. So
It's not going to be nothing being shown. We're going to do the little blackout,
Yeah.
that everybody else does.
The Dalen Brown.
Well, you take that up with him. He's really good at that blacking out shit. Man, we appreciate you guys getting on, letting us come hang out in the shop. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully everything goes good for you. Hopefully you guys get all the heats that you want. Because when this thing drops, we're going to be
2 weeks out.
2 weeks. So, fellas, appreciate you. Steven, any last words?
you all got anything left to say? Anything you want to tell the loyal listeners?
No, looking forward to it. Gonna be a good time. Can't thank wife and kids enough. Got to throw them in there for letting me come out here work in the shop. So
Yep, I have to appreciate her always having dinner ready, always leaving me a plate in the microwave because it's usually 1 or 2 o'clock time we leave here.
The gray area promise zone.
There you go.
Yep.
You good?
Yep.
thanks, guys.
Make jump, boys.